Hey guys, in today's tutorial, I am going to create this beautiful motion graphic effect using the Blender geometry nodes. And the problem you will learn in this tutorial is that if you are using instance on point node and place instances and connect these instances with these edges of this grid using the mesh to curve and curve to mesh nodes, then you can see the connection between instances and tubes looking very sharp. How we can convert these sharp connection into the smooth organic connection using the mesh to SDF grid nodes. And if you like these kind of procedural motion graphic effects, then you can visit my Patreon where you find a lot of procedural stuff with the original Blender files. So how we can create this? Now let's begin the tutorial. All right, we are in Blender. And here I select this cube and directly enter into the geometry node workspace. And here I hit this new button to create a new node tree and select this group input and delete this. And I am going to start with the grid. So here I search for the grid and connect this grid with the output. Now we have this plane and the size for this grid, here I choose X and Y to 10 meter. And also the vertices, you can see this change in wireframe. And here I increase X and Y vertices to 10. Now we have this. Now back to the solid view. And here I search for the instance on point node and place it here. And here I search for the icosphere. Place it here and connect this with the instances. Now we have very large icosphere in our scene. And here I decrease their radius, very small, something like this. I can change this later and also increase their subdivision to 4. Now we have this. Now I want to connect all of these icosphere with each other by using this grid vertices. So for that, first here I add join geometry. We remove this later, but to see our connections, we have this. Now here I search for the, this is the mesh, and here I search for the mesh to curve and search for the mesh to curve. Now we have this and use this grid vertices and connect this with the join geometry. Now we have these vertices connection with each of the sphere. And here I convert this curve to any mesh. For that, here I search for the curve to tube node and place it here. Now we have this kind of pattern. The size of these curve to tube node is very large than that of our sphere. So for that, here I decrease their scale to 0.02, something like that. Now we have this very easily. Now I want these edges combined with the sphere organically. Not we can see the hard edges or separate geometry. How we can connect these edges with these sphere organically? So for that, here we move these guys here. So for that, here I search for the mesh to SDF grid. Mesh to SDF grid and connect it here. Now we have this, and also we connect this mesh to SDF grid with our icosphere. Shift D to duplicate and connect it here. And here I delete this join geometry. And to combine these mesh to SDF grid, here I search for the SDF grid boolean and search for the SDF grid boolean here. And here I change this difference to the union. And now we have this grid icon, and we can connect many mesh to SDF grid as you want and combine them with each other. So here I connect this and also connect this, and this connect with the group output. Now you cannot see nothing because this is the grid, and we connect this with the group output having this geometry. So for that, we first convert this grid to the mesh. So for that, here I search for the grid to mesh node and place it here. And here I connect with this grid and this mesh with the geometry. Now we have this. You still not see anything. And here I search for the realize instances and place it here. Now we have something in our 3D viewport. And here I change this voxel size. So both of these voxel size, because both of these vertices, tubes, and instance on point icosphere are connected with each other. So here I search for the value node and place it here and connect this with this voxel size and with this voxel size. And here I put the number 0.060, very small. Now we have this kind of pattern, and now our instances icosphere connect these tubes organically. And here we do some more setting to make these connection smooth. So for that, here I search for the set shade smooth and place it here. Now we have this, and move this node here, and here I also search for the smooth geometry node and place it here. Now we have this, and here I increase iteration. You can see here I put 20. This is looking nice as we want. Now our instances connect with these edges organically. Nice. Now here I increase the size for these instance. So for that, here I increase their size. So you can see these joints very large. I think 2 is looking nice. And here I reduce this something like that. Now we have this beautiful grid which connect with each other organically. Now I want another sphere on these joints. So for that, here I select these 3 nodes and shift D to duplicate and place it here. And here I use this again, this point of this grid and place it here. And here at the last, here I search for the join geometry and place it here and connect this with the join geometry. Now we have this. We cannot see these because the size of these having a same value of these instance on point. So for that, here I increase this Z value, so we can see something like that. Something like that. Now we have this. We scale these instance along the z-axis, so we can see these instance in the middle of these organic joints. Now we have this, and now I want to animate this. So for this, here we use this grid point to animate, because all of our instances and curve tube connect with this grid. So for that, here I search for the set position node and place it here, and also connect this point with this, and this point with the instance on point, and also this second instance on point. And here I search for the combine XYZ node and place it here and connect with this offset. And here I search for the noise texture, place it here and connect with the x-axis. You can choose any axis as you want, but I chose x-axis to animate this. Now we have this, and here I change this to the 4D, so we can use this W value to animate this. And here I decrease their scale very small, something like 0.5. So we can use this W value to animate these organically connected grid. Get to 0. Now we have this. Now it's time to add the material. So for that, here we see this wire is for this centered icosphere. So for that, here I search for the set material and place it here, and from here, this is for this grid. So here I shift D to duplicate this and place it here. Now we have 2 material, one for the grid and one for this icosphere. And here in the material panel, I create material. So for that, first I select this material to this icosphere and create another material. And this is the material 001, and this for this grid. Now we have these 2 material in our scene. To see the material and we change the properties of this material, here we enter into the material workspace, and here we also in the material view or a shading view, so we can see the material. Here we choose this first material, which is for this icosphere. So for that, here I make some black type material, something like that, and also increase their metallic value and also decrease their roughness. These icospheres are not fully shade smooth. So for that, we again enter into the geometry node workspace, and here after the realize instances, here I search for the set shade smooth node, and now we have these icosphere are fully shaded smooth. And back to the material. Now we can see our material is looking nice. And for this grid, here we change this slot, and this is for the grid. And for this grid, I choose some gold type material. I think this is looking nice, and also increase their metallic value to fully 1 and decrease their roughness. So you can see the reflection on this grid. Now we have this beautiful structure, and now it's time to add the camera and the background. So for that, we enter into the layout view, and here I search for the camera, and to adjust our view, I think this is looking nice. And by selecting this camera, press Ctrl Alt and 0, so we can capture our view. And now we have this, and here by pressing twice G and middle mouse button, we can hit our camera, and something like this. Now this is looking nice, and enter into the rendered view. Now you can see our scene is looking beautiful. Now back to the solid view, and now it's time to add the background. So for that, here I search for the plane and scale this to cover our whole grid, something like that. And we move this plane along the z-axis, so we can see our grid something like this. Now this is looking nice, and Control A to apply the scale. Now it's time to add the material for this background. So for that, here I create another material, which is the material 002 by default, and enter into the material workspace. And also we are enter into the camera view, so we can see our material. I want to create some leather type material. So for that, for this background, so for that, here I search for the Voronoi texture, place it here, and connect with this base color, so we can see our Voronoi texture. I can change this and add the normal, and here I selecting this Voronoi texture, press Ctrl T. This will add the texture coordinate and the mapping, and here I use this objective coordinate. Now we have this. Now here I make some changes in our Voronoi. Here I increase the scale, something like 70. So you can see, and here I also search for the color ramp, place it here, and here you can see we can make these dots something like that. Now we have this, and I use this value for this normal. So for that, here I search for the bump, place it here, and connect this normal with this normal of the principal BSTF, and connect this with the height. And here I decrease this color something like that. And here you can see, and here I change this invert value, so we can see some bump to our background. Now we have this. And if I enter into the camera view and also enter into the rendered view, so you can see this bump, something like a leather-like material. Now we have this. Now it's time to add the animation. So for that, here we enter into the again geometry node workspace and select our grid, and also into our camera view. And here I use this W value for the animation, and I want to make this animation fully looping. And here I end this animation to the 120 and back to the 0. we start always 0 for the looping animation, and here I shift D to duplicate this and place it here, and here I search for the mix color, this mix color, and connect this with the X, and this vector with the A, and this vector with the B. Now we have this, and this vector to 0 at frame 0. Now it's time. Here I hover this W value and hit in I to insert the keyframe, and also over this vector value of this mix color and hit I to insert the keyframe. Now jump to the last frame, which is 120, and here I add 1 and hit I to insert the keyframe and make this vector fully 1, and also hit I to insert the keyframe. Now we have this, and now over this second W of this noise texture, and at 120 frame, here I hit I to insert the keyframe. Now jump to the frame 0, and here I put the same number here, but in opposite sign. Here I put 1, and here I put -1, and hit I to insert the keyframe. Now if I run our simulation, you can see this is very heavy on our PC, but this is looking nice. And here in the bandwidth, we can decrease this bandwidth to make this animation lighter, but these joints are looking ugly. And here you can see if I reduce this and also reduce this, you can see, but here I select 3 for these. Now we have this, and we are in the layout view, and we are in the camera view, and here if I enter into our rendered view, and here I hit this render region, and now we have this. And if I run this simulation, you can see this is looking beautiful. And by pressing F12, you can see this in rendered view. And here is the final render of this animation. So in this way, we're using the SDF grid nodes to connect these joints organically and create this beautiful animation. Thanks for watching.